These are not projects in their infancy. They're not bench projects. These are real projects. Can you talk about the need for nuclear as you see it?
Yeah, look, I think that first, let's just understand that we need to build as much solar and battery storage as we possibly can get sited and built.
Yep.
So no one's slowing that down, right?
Yeah.
If you want to double, you want to triple, go for it. We need all of it, right? We totally agree with that, right? But I think when you look at our coal fleet in the United States, what's remaining today is, our coal plants that are largely over 50 years old.
Right.
It's really too expensive to retrofit them, fix them up, and actually keep them running longer. So most of them are going to come out of service by 2035, right? So as they come out of service, the question becomes, what's the best way to meet that clean, firm generating source, right?
Yep.
And there is no right answer. So we can build a bunch of solar power, but actually add 12 to 18 hours of battery storage. We can do that, right? But that's expensive, right? 12 to 18 hours of battery storage puts you into $130 to $160 a megawatt hour, right? That's not cheap. So now you look at geothermal. Geothermal, today is in that $130 a megawatt hour, but our liftoff report shows that we think it can get down to $70 a megawatt hour by leveraging all the expertise from the oil and gas industry and some of the 6 of the best states in the country that can do this stuff, right? That's great. So you do as much geothermal as you can, you do as much solar plus long duration and storage as you can, but then there's still a gap, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at, Vogtle units 3 and 4, I get it. Cost overruns, all this other stuff, right? But their total all-in costs now are coming in roughly at like $130 a megawatt hour.
Wow.
Right? So $130 a megawatt hour is expensive. I think we expected it to be cheaper.
Right.
But it's not that expensive, not compared to solar plus 12 hours, 18 hours of battery
to what we're
storage,
talking is the alternative, right?
And I think if we build 10 of them at the same time, we think we can actually get that number probably to $95 a megawatt hour or lower, right? And we just came out a report showing that the 54 existing nuclear campuses plus the 11 sites that, had recently retired plants, can host at least 65,000 megawatts of new nuclear.
Wow.
These are places where you already have a trained nuclear workforce. You have a community that loves nuclear, right? And for a lot of these sites, there's only one nuclear plant there. And if you add a second one, it's 30% less to operate both nuclear power plants, right? Because it's the same personnel that does it. And so I think when you look at a total system cost, the last thing I'd say, right, is that we are, for the foreseeable future, going to be transmission constrained.
Yeah.
Right? And so we have to use that transmission grid in the most efficient way possible.
Yeah.
Right? That means you're generating power and sending power down those transmission lines all the time. Right?
Right.
And so when you think about like solar plus long duration energy storage and some of these other technologies, it generally means that you have to oversize the grid.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's a lot more money. So when you look at what the National Renewable Energy Laboratory is doing in terms of their grid constrained scenario in the Clean Futures work, it shows that if you have a 40% clean, firm power generation, right? So solar and wind can be 60%, right? We're not slowing them down. Then it's a much cheaper way of managing the grid, right? And so I think that everyone needs to and wants to coexist, but sometimes I feel like people act like, like if we support this technology, we're taking money out of like this person's, pocket. And we're not. Like these are completely different investors and we need both if we're going to decarbonize on the schedule the president's laid out.
Yeah. You mentioned 11 recently decommissioned sites. I wanted to bring up the Palisades plant restart. Is that a sign of things to come? Is that something that we should expect? Is that we're going to restart some of these old plants?
Yeah, once you fully decommission a site like they've done at Indian Point, for instance, it's hard to bring those back, right?
Yeah.
But there are 3 sites around the country that are actually recently shut down, but can be brought back because they haven't been decommissioned yet. And so, the Palisades is the first of them. The other 2, I think, are working hard to figure out whether they want to get restart. And then, Holtec has actually gone further and said, not only do they want to restart Palisades, they want to build 2 new reactors at the same site, right? So we're very excited about the level of ambition that folks have. And then we've got to obviously figure out who wants to pay for this power.
Yeah.
The hyperscale data center companies are like, hey, we'll pay for this power
power.
because we're way behind on our 24/7 clean, firm, matched, commitments that we've made on our website by 2030. And then I think you've got electric utility companies that are saying, hey, wait a second, we actually would love to be a part of this solution as well. So you saw Duke Energy announce, their partnership, I think with Google, Amazon, and Meta maybe. And so that's exciting to see, right? Not all of these deals have become closed deals, but I think when you see what, building blocks are going into place now, it gives you hope that these world-leading designs that we have in the United States can get commercialized here and then exported around the world.
Well, what gives me hope is that world leaders like you are still in government office, helping us revitalize these programs. Jigar Shah is the director of the Loan Programs Office for the Department of Energy. He's also one of the oracles of the industry and one of the folks that many of us, most admire. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you so much for having me.